For every 50,000 Canadians, there's one location of Burger King. Now compare that to McDonald's with one location for every 23,000 and Tim Hortons with one for every 9,800 Canadians. This clearly shows that Tim Hortons has the highest per capita presence of any other fast food chain in Canada. In fact, this number even surpasses the per capita availability of family doctors, bank branches, police stations, and so on. That's how vastly Tim Hortons has spread its business across Canada. So, how a simple coffee shop became one of the most iconic brands in the world. Our story doesn't start in boardroom or a kitchen, but on the ice. Tim Hortons was founded in 1964 by a National Hockey League star, Tim Horton, and that's how it got its name. It was in North Bay, Ontario that Tim Horton took his first step into the business world. He opened the first Tim Horton restaurant, not for coffee, but for hamburgers. Soon after, Tim realized there was something more Canadians craved, and on May 17, 1964, the first Tim Horton donut store opened in Hamilton, Ontario. It began as a side venture, and initially the business wasn't doing that well. Murray Oliver, who was Horton's first franchisee, introduced him to Ron Joyce. Ron was a former police constable and was having a franchise of Dairy Queen. He wanted to buy another one, but City declined the license for second location. Joyce saw this as a great opportunity for business. Joyce entered into a franchise partnership with Tim Horton. Just 2 years later, he became a full partner, and now they were having 4 locations already. The partnership between Horton and Joyce proved to be a winning combination. They steadily expanded, adding one new location after the another. In 1974, 10 years since opening their first location, a tragedy struck. Horton was returning to Buffalo after a game when he lost control of his car. The car flipped multiple times. Horton, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, had been thrown out from the vehicle and died on impact. The accident was attributed to Horton's high speed, with some reports suggesting that he had alcohol and painkillers in his system, which later on got confirmed by the autopsy. Horton had blood alcohol level well beyond the legal limit. That night, a motorist near Burlington reported a dangerously fast sports car prompting police action. When Horton reached St. Catharines around 4:30 in the morning, an Ontario provincial police officer attempted to pursue him but couldn't keep up with the speed. The officer said that Horton was unaware that he was being chased. Despite the officer driving 100 miles per hour, he quickly lost sight of Horton and never got any close. A few minutes later, the officer arrived at the scene of crash and found Horton dead. At the time of Horton's death, there were 40 stores in Canada. Ron Joyce then bought out Horton family's shares for $1 million and became the sole owner of Tim Hortons chain. Lori Horton, wife of Tim Horton, later sued to get her half back, but her request was denied in court. But the Horton and Joyce partnership did not end here. In fact, it carried on with the marriage of Joyce's son and Horton's elder daughter. Ron Joyce didn't just maintain the business, he supercharged it. By 1991, Tim Hortons had opened its 500 stores, solidifying its place as a Canadian staple. There were very few corporate stores and mostly were franchises. As Tim Hortons expanded, it reshaped the Canadian coffee and donut market, driving many independent shops out of business. By the early 1990s, Canada had more donut shops per capita than any other country, and Tim Hortons was the undisputed leader. The early 1990s brought a new chapter in the Tim Hortons story. Daniel Murphy, who was owning multiple Tim Hortons and Wendy's franchise locations, thought of opening a franchise outlet where both the brands will be in the same building. The success of this venture caught the attention of both the company's leadership, and in 1995, Wendy's acquired Tim Hortons for $400 million. The merger at that time had sparked heated debates across Canada. Was a national treasure being sold out to American giant, or was this the key to even greater success? Despite the controversy, the merger allowed Tim Hortons to expand even faster. By 2005, there were twice as many Tim Hortons locations as McDonald's in Canada, and the chain's sales had surpassed those of McDonald's Canadian operations. But the story doesn't end here. Under pressure from major investors, Wendy's announced that it would sell 18% of Tim Hortons operations in initial public offering, which was completed on March 24, 2006, raising over $700 million in its first day of public trading. This amount was almost twice the amount of what Wendy's acquired Tim Hortons initially for. Later in 2014, Burger King acquired Tim Hortons for $12.5 billion. Both these companies are currently owned by a parent company called RBI, Restaurant Brands International. This company also owns other well known brands including Popeyes and Firehouse Subs. Today, Tim Hortons has approximately 70% share for coffee and 80% market share for baked goods in Canada, and it's still number one fast food chain.